Hello and welcome to your final episode of Obsession About Dissection. Today we're going to learn about the amphibian species, our frog. This time around we're going to want to get the dissecting needles once again, just as we did with our earthworm, because when we look at the internal anatomy we're going to want to pin our skin out so we can look at the organs. In addition, remember all your other supplies. You have your dissecting scissors, your dissecting probe, and forceps. Get a tray, get a frog, and let's start to learn about the external anatomy. Okay, now that we have our supplies, what do we want to do first? And that is read the background information of our lab. This will guide us to the investigation of our frog, as well as pose some thinking questions that we want to answer when we're doing our dissection. So let's do a quick review about our amphibian species, because I know that it's been a few days since we last talked about amphibians. First of all, remember, amphibian means double life, so in the water and out on land. So how can that benefit the frog just by looking at it externally? Well, when it's a tadpole, obviously it's living in the water, and now when it's adult, it's on land and in the water. So on this ventral side, take a look. It's very clear, so as it's swimming on the top, the fish don't get afraid of it because it just looks like light reflecting like the sun normally does on the water. Then, if the frog crawls out, okay, and starts to burrow in some of that mud, it's going to want to look like its surroundings. That's why the top of this frog kind of blends in like kind of grasses, some mosses, maybe even some dirt and mud. So it's a protective camouflage for that frog. Okay, so moving on. Let's put it on its ventral side so that we can look at its dorsal side. You can run your finger down here and actually feel that structure that makes this a vertebrate species. What is that structure? I'll let you think about that. Just run your finger down the edge. You notice that the frog has 4 legs, okay, or 2 legs and 2 arms. But what do you see is different about these structures? These are called the hind legs. Okay, look how big they are. They actually kind of look like maybe an athlete that has big, strong muscles on their legs. What do you suppose those could be used for as it maybe jumps through the air or something like that? Or when it's in the water, what good do the big legs do on the frog? That's what you're going to want to look about, and that's what you're going to want to think about. Then you can take a look at the forearms. Okay, these much smaller than the back. How can those help that frog after it lands? Or maybe when it's swimming in the water, is that going to help guide it when it's swimming? So some things to think about, again, when you're looking at the frog. Also, on the dorsal side, you're going to notice the eyes of the frog. Okay? Look at the eyes of the frog. You're going to see that there are 3 eyelids on this frog. 3 eyelids, so I want you to poke around and look at those 3 eyelids. There will be 2 obvious ones. The one that's not so obvious is kind of like the perch. It's that clear covering that just basically protects that eye from the water and other things. Okay, so 2 eyes on the frog. Also, just down the posterior side, so as we're going to the posterior, remember the posterior is this back side of the frog. This is the anterior, so as we move to the posterior, not too far, but you're going to see a structure right here. Okay? That is like an eardrum for the frog. That's called the tympanum. So you can actually see that structure right below the eyes. And then we're going to take an evaluation of the mouth area. Okay? So you're going to want to open the mouth. So we might have to break the jaw so that we can easily move the mouth. Cut in here, okay, on both sides. That way you can pull out the mouth. I want you to look at that tongue. Where is that tongue connected? I think you're going to find something interesting that as you look at videos and things, that tongue actually rolls out to catch its food. Okay, so you're going to want to look at that inside this frog and answer some questions with that. Also, put your finger in the frog. Okay, feel its teeth. I think I got cut. Nope, I didn't. I'm fine. Thank goodness. But you can actually feel its teeth structure in there. Are they sharp? Are they big? I want you to take a look at that and think, well, how does a frog actually eat its food? Okay, is it really chewing it up, or is it maybe just grinding a little bit and swallowing? So those are things that you want to look at on the frog.
Alright, now we're going to start to cut our frog open and take a look at the inside organs and connective tissue and muscles and bones of your frog. So let's get cutting. Alright, so to begin cutting, you want to lay your frog dorsal side down, ventral side up. Now if the legs are in the way, you can simply put a pin through them to hold them down. It's okay. But again, not necessary, it's up to you. Okay? Then, using your scissors, you're going to start at the cloaca. The cloaca is the one hole that everything comes out of. Again, they do not have numerous, there's just one. So eggs, sperm, and feces and urine all release through there. Now they do also release a lot through their skin because they are amphibians, but the cloaca is right here. Then, in a cutting like you do before, like in an upward motion, you're first going to cut through the skin, and if you're lucky and you can cut through the muscle tissue, that's great. But most people start with just cutting through the skin all the way to the top. Then you're going to cut flaps going down. And then kind of separate the connective tissue from the skin. Okay, so one side. Now as you can see, I'm just de-skinning right now. So we can see that incredible six-pack this frog has. You can see he works out. LMFAO would like him. Okay. Now, what is present here is the very strong muscular abdomen, and then the portal vein you can also see underneath here. Now, since we want to see inside, and I can already tell, I think I got a female. Or it might be a male, actually. Let's see. Oh, nope, it is a male. I think. So now we're going to cut through the muscle tissue. Again, trying to keep your scissors as pointed upward as possible. And again, cutting down the side. Now you're taking out this very thick muscular tissue. Snipping connective. Again, then use your pin to pin down the muscle and the skin so you can see. We're going to do the same on the other side. You might go through a little bit of rib bone at the top. There you go. All right. So, now, looking at our frog, we are internally ready to start going through some stuff. Now, first thing we see right here at the top is the heart. Remember how many chambers it is, something we talked about which makes amphibians unique and not having the most efficient heart in the world. What do you think these things are? This is the largest internal organ. You've seen this organ many times in other dissections. This is the liver. Same in your body, largest internal organs. And if you pick up the lobes of the liver, you'll see this little green pea right here. That's called the gallbladder. And if you know anything about the gallbladder in humans, this is important, especially if you like McDonald's. Think about why. Then, as we move down, here is the stomach. Extremely muscular organ. Now, if you're lucky, you'll be something in your stomach. Only if you're lucky. We find fish. One year we found a mouse. We found beetles. So there's all different things that could be in there. Then, from the stomach, we go to the small intestines, coiled tube, to then the large intestines, right here. Okay, now there are names in your lab for the different parts of the intestine, so be sure to read carefully, and even your intestines are named different parts. Then, all of this yellow material on this side and on this side are called fat bodies. Okay, now remember, fat is important. It's there for warmth, it's there for protection, and storing food. So, look at how big your fat bodies are. If the fat bodies are very full like this, do you think that frog was a springtime frog, a summertime frog, a wintertime frog? And just by looking at these should tell you when the frog died because of how much fat was in their body. Remember, they are hibernators. Alright, moving down, And off to the side you will find its lungs. There's one lung on this side and there's one lung on the other side. They're deflated right now, but you can see those. Then down here on the bottom are the kidneys. My frog's got a lot of liquid in it, so right down here you'll see a kidney on each side. And it looks just like a kidney bean like you find in chili. It's on the same with the other side right here. Now, I have a male frog because there's testes down here that are not filled right now. They're very small tubes way down in here. Now, some of you might have female frogs with a large egg sac right here. Just like in the perch, call your teacher over to remove it. If you have a male frog, some of them might be real filled coiled tubes. That's because it's getting ready to spawn. These things are also external reproducers. Again, part of being an amphibian is laying those eggs in water. Now, once you've completed all the internal things, your teacher will be quizzing you on these, so be very careful if you do cut things out. Like in the lab, it tells you to remove the intestines and measure it. Be sure to leave it on your tray, because I might ask you, or Mr. Nelson might say, where is the duodenum, and you'd have to know where that is. You are welcome to cut down a leg if you want to see some muscle tissue. So just if you want to do this, it's not required. But just if you really want to see what muscle looks like, and powerful muscle, take a look at that quad. And if you want to see the bone, you can actually go through the muscle. And you can actually see bones and joints even if you want. So if you get way down in there, you can actually see the bone right down here. And if you go up toward the knee, you can actually see the joint. It looks very similar to yours. So that is the internal anatomy of your frog. Have fun, be safe, and we'll see you soon.